It's time for a listener request on this podcast. So, if you ever wondered how music licensing works for albums featuring cover songs, if it is worth it, or who earns money off of whom, and why some artists or some Seiyu artists are doing this, just like Shunichi Toki did with his EP Log, this is the episode for you. So let's kick off this episode of Seiyu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyu Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is music licensing for cover songs. This is of course applied to male Seiyu and to the music project. So let's talk about these in this episode. This of course is a technical episode about the behind the scenes of the music industry, with a particular focus on music licensing in Japan with parallels with the US, and why some male Seiyu have been covering songs and publishing them, or even releasing full-on albums with cover songs. This was a request during the September and October episode of Monthly Review back in 2024, so thank you very much to everyone that mentioned that they were curious about this, and also those who, later on, requested an episode about this topic. Whether you're an aspiring artist or just a fan curious about the music industry, understanding how music licensing works for cover songs is crucial. It helps understand why some artists make some choices and others don't. It also helps you understand if it is even worth doing that for money, or if it is just a passion project from the Seiyu doing that. I've said this countless times, but I have a law degree, and one of my expert matters was royalties and licensing. I literally loved this part of law, despite not having pursued it as my career. Because of that, what I'll be sharing with you is legal stuff, but simplified to make it easier to understand. If you want to deep dive into the rights I'll be talking about, make sure to talk with a certified lawyer. Nothing I'll be saying is advice in any capacity. This episode is just to teach you more about the behind the scenes of the music industry. So in this episode, we'll dive into the world of music rights, explain those in a simple way, and explore how royalties work for covers versus original artists, and even touch on some unique aspects of the Japanese music industry. The basics of music licensing for covers. So, music licensing for cover songs is all about obtaining permission to use someone else's copyrighted music composition. Just because the music is published out there, it doesn't mean that you can just sing it on stage and pass it off as one of your own, or earn money from basically it without the original artist getting their well-deserved royalties. This process, known as mechanical licensing, is essential when an artist wants to record and release a cover version of a song. There are two main types of mechanical licenses. The first one is a compulsory mechanical license. For example, in the United States, this allows artists to obtain a license for non-dramatic musical works without directly seeking permission from the original copyright owner. However, the cover version must maintain the same melody and lyrics as the original song. Let's say that you want to cover a song by a popular artist and upload it on your YouTube channel. YouTube will immediately track it using its advanced copyright tools and associate it to the original song. You won't be able to monetize the video because of that, because you'd be making money out of someone else's song. But you're allowed to have the cover song posted on the channel. The rights owner may get a percentage of the revenue from the ads YouTube chooses. This happens automatically. Then you have the other mechanical license. It is the voluntary mechanical license. So, in this case, artists can negotiate directly with the copyright holder or their representatives for this type of license, which is often used for more complex or modified cover versions. This involves lawyers, of course, because most likely the music labels are too powerful, may not want you to have that song being covered without asking for extra money or anything else in between. In this case, if the rights owner determined that the mechanical license to their song is always voluntary, you have a massive problem ahead. As you need to negotiate with music labels and they are slow, always try to find problems, and unless you are really famous, you will be ghosted. How royalties work for cover songs. So, if you think musicians make a lot of money and you haven't watched the episodes in this podcast in which I cover the topic of royalties, you'll be surprised by how little money they make. When it comes to royalties for cover songs, here's how it typically works, and we're back to an example in the USA because Japanese companies don't disclose these things. The current statutory rate for mechanical licenses in the US is 9.1 cents per downloaded song or song on a physical album purchase. So it's 9 cents, everyone, per song. Every time an album is purchased featuring that song, or every time that song is played on the radio or on TV or whatever. Artists covering a song may pay these royalties to the original copyright owner, usually through mechanical rights societies. So if the covers are released solely on streaming platforms like Spotify or Apple Music, the services handle licensing and royalty payments through entities like the Mechanical Licensing Collective, which is from the US. This is automatic, so you will see a specific revenue per listen, for example, if you are an artist, but then there's a percentage shared with the original artist, so you won't be getting all that money that you actually earned. Original artist royalties. Now, you may be wondering, what about the original artist? What do they get in return? Well, they continue to receive royalties when the song is covered. We talked about the 9 cents per song, per performance, per purchase. They receive royalties, of course, of two types. They receive the mechanical ones, which the cover artist had to pay for. So these are paid to the original songwriter or publisher for the use of their composition. Basically, they receive these anytime another artist covers their song. This can be compulsory or automatic or voluntary, in which the cover artist has to directly contact the original artist or rights owner. Then we have the performance rights. If the cover is performed live or played on radio or TV, the original songwriter also receives performance royalties. The same thing goes for if an artist performs this song at a convention, at a live show, they have to pay for those royalties. So the original artist never gets the full royalties, but they get a percentage out of those, which is already really good, but then again, it's 9 cents. Japanese music industry. So now we are going to talk about specifics. You may have noticed that most seiyuu artists have their music licensed with Jazz Rack. Yumu Uchida, Mamoru Miyano, Soma Saito and Shota Aoi are just some of the examples of male seiyuu artists that have music licensed with Jazz Rack, Japan's main music licensing company. But you also have Next Tone. You may have noticed that most 2D music projects have their music licensed to Next Tone, especially those that just release digital singles. These are the two primary organizations handling music rights in Japan, similar to ASCAP and BMI in the US. Then, when it comes to the music licensing laws, Japan gets a bit creative in order to both make it easy for people to cover music, which can be tied to the whole culture surrounding karaoke, and as well ensuring artists are super protected in their rights. I'm not kidding, Japan is really rigid when it comes to creative rights and actually enforces those more strongly than any other country out there. So, Japan recognizes compulsory licensing. We talked about that before, meaning permission isn't technically required, but royalties must be paid. So as soon as you cover a song or perform a cover, you don't need anyone's permission. You can just post it online and the rights owner will be notified by the platform and get a cut of your earnings. This is a big reason why Vocaloid and virtual artists covering popular songs is really common in Japan. It's that easy and hassle-free to cover a song, provided you aren't doing a new arrangement or changing its lyrics. Another thing in Japanese copyright law is the recognition of moral rights. This allows the original artists to potentially shut down a cover if they strongly dislike or disagree with the rendition. Let's imagine that I sing a cover of Soma Saito's Ame no Niwa and I completely butcher that falsetto chorus, and by chance Soma Saito himself, Sakura Music or Sony Music Japan come across it. They can literally come on over, flag my cover video, issue a takedown, and it's over. I'm kidding, of course, I won't be doing that, and I don't even know how to sing, but there are artists out there that don't want anyone to touch their music. For example, I'm not saying about Soma Saito in specific, but there are specific artists around the world that are really picky and don't want people even to cover their songs. Those artists or those music labels may not be fond of someone covering their song and missing the point, for example, not conveying the right emotions, or even just straight up not sing it well. If you're butchering the song, or trying to modify it to create a parody, or using it to, for example, support something shady, the Japanese artist can come after you and issue an immediate takedown of the cover. Moral rights are actually an awesome tool for artists to have on their side, of course used with caution. I'd love for these to be more the norm in other countries to prevent people from featuring an artist's song in questionable political or religious videos, for example. At the same time, and to avoid potential issues with the original artists, it's still common for the cover artists to request a cover clearance from the original publisher. This is just to avoid the original artists saying they are okay for you to cover the song, and all of a sudden they get cold feet and, well, they say that you no longer are allowed to do so. So to avoid this back and forth, and I've talked about this on an episode of Monthly Review, and actually went on a massive tangent about it, so if you want to check more about the courtesy or formality, please go check the September and October 2024 episode of Monthly Review. But back to the topic at hand. This is actually something that is asked, cover clearance. This is a formality, this is courtesy, but this is essential to avoid misunderstandings. At the same time, more recently, it has become even easier to share covers on digital platforms in Japan. For instance, Meta's Threads has entered into an agreement with Jazzrack, allowing users to upload cover videos of Jazzrack managed songs more easily. So the videos won't be flagged and the music won't be silenced. Instead, the original artist gets some sort of revenue, which wasn't disclosed, of course, out of those videos. So, last year, we had the big example of Shunichi Toki's EP, Log. It features covers of popular anime songs in there, and the album didn't really have anything new or original by Shunichi Toki. It was basically him performing songs that were from other artists. There are no details about how the process was for Pony Canyon to get a hold of those rights, but seeing as mechanical rights are compulsory, Shunichi Toki could have sung those songs in the album without notifying the original artists and simply release the album, because the original artists would get a cut nonetheless. However, knowing Japan and how anti-fans usually are, diving into the littlest detail to try to find fault in something when there isn't any fault, I think Pony Canyon may have directly contacted the original rights owners and publisher out of a courtesy and to ensure nothing weird would happen. Call it a countermeasure, but it is well worth having. As far as the money made goes, there are barely any details beyond the 9 cents per song that an original artist gets per song covered, and then each time the song is played. I believe that the opposite happens here. Beyond the 9 cents paid to the original artist, the rest of the money belongs to the artist covering the songs. So let's say one song makes €1 or $1 in streaming. That's 1,000 listens, by the way, on Spotify, which is crazy. Let's keep this simple. The original artist from this song gets 9 cents. The cover artist gets 91 cents. Those 91 cents will have to pay for the licensing fees on streaming platforms, of course, part to their music label, their agents, and such. So if the song had to be performed, the whole instrumental had to be re-recorded by musicians on the side of the cover artist, they also have to pay those. So the cover artist doesn't get that much money too. Understanding these licensing processes is crucial, like I said before, for artists looking to legally and ethically release cover songs. And at the same time, I think this is essential for fans of male seiyuu artists and even 2D music projects to understand why sometimes artists cover music and why sometimes they don't cover music. And why covering music doesn't earn them much money, so it's not even worth it. It's mostly a passion project. Music licensing ensures, of course, proper compensation for original creators, while allowing for creative reinterpretations of beloved music. there you have it. In this episode, we've covered the basics of music licensing for cover songs, explored how royalties work really high level. I'm not going to dive into the details, and even delved into some unique aspects of the music industry in Japan. This is something really complex, once again, but I hope that this simple and clear explanation got you to understand the basics behind it. The next time that you hear a fantastic cover of your favorite song or a cover song by your favorite male seiyuu, you'll have a better understanding of the legal processes working behind the scenes. Now tell me, did you know about the licensing process for cover songs or albums? Which male seiyuu would you like to see releasing a cover songs, album, and why? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyuu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male seiyuu and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male seiyuu artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.